Okay, thank you to everyone for returning. We are going to start. All of these candidates were at the Smoke Radio election debate last night. We're going to just hear back to what they had to say.
What's your flavour? Tell me what's your flavour?
Next up, we hear from the Regent Street and Little Titchfield Street candidates.
I've been going around talking to a lot of different students over the last few days, and a lot of them have said that they're having this issue and that they do have the split of exams and they are finding it hard to deal with.
I think the only issue is, and the reason why I didn't raise this in my manifesto, I don't think it's doable by the SU, because you need to get changes like this signed off by a board that assesses the exams.
I'd like to see how you guys would push the school spirit forward, would get people to come down and watch games every week and participate more in sports.
We're kind of the only university in London that doesn't do keep off the Wednesday evenings.
So your plan would be to get more students off on a Wednesday so that they could engage with social and sports.
One last issue I think that many people did have, and I had when I first started uni, is for the football, and a lot of other sports is quite far. I want to offer a 48-hour loan to help students meet their deadlines, and if they go over that, just block them for 24 hours.
I want a voice. I want to change the university, and I want something that's actually going to have a real impact. And the reason being my survey has a real impact is because it's based on a reliable improvement metric used across various industries. For example, an MBS score that's used by Apple right now.
Okay, so that was a little bit about what they had to say last night on Smoke Radio. Don't forget, if you don't want to ask a question in the live audience, you can send a tweet to #UWSUVote. We've got Zach up here, keep an eye on everything that's going on. We're going to start with Khalid. You have the chance to introduce yourself and your manifesto. You have 45 seconds.
Hi everyone, my name's Khalid. I'm I study Arabic and English literature. I'm in my final year. Basically, the themes of my manifesto, my main point is on employability and networking. I think that's one of the key issues as you come to the end of university. It's really tough out there to get a job, so I want to ensure that we provide a platform. We can attract large organisations, prominent organisations that don't normally come here, and to work with the students. I want to work on LTS, improve the library facilities in regard to laptops. I want to make sure that we increase the loan time, so that's another important issue there. Social activities, I want to ensure that we engage more, and we make the social more diverse, and we embrace the different cultures that are here in our university. So that's some.
Thank you, Khalid. And over to Lauren. Just 45 seconds again.
Hi, I'm Lauren and I do English literature and creative writing, and I'm a second year. My main point, I really want to create a community feel within the university and push social items. I want to create weekly events boards to do that, sports and society socials once a month made with a steering board, and subject socials as well made with a steering board again to embrace everyone. I really want to make tailor-made careers fairs which ask students what do you want to do, and bring in businesses and graduate schemes that can help that. I also want to bring around January exams, and I want that because some people have like semester 1 modules that they're doing exams for in the summer, so it's quite a long gap between the two.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Lauren. And over to Omar. You have 45 seconds to talk about your manifesto points. Okay, thank you. And Imran, over to you. You have 45 seconds to introduce yourself and your manifesto points.
My name's Imran. I've been a receptionist in the SU for 2 years, so I know how it works. I want to tackle, we've got massive basic issues in the SU that it doesn't engage with students. We've heard that over and over again tonight, and that's the first thing that I want to fix. It's a massive issue that we've had for many years now. I want to run a campaign called You Pay Your Say. With us paying £9,000, we deserve greater say in how our degrees are on and how the university uses our money for us. Increase employment. I want to bring professionals in and get them to have a relationship with students. Not relationship in that sense, but relationship in the sense that when students leave, they have someone out there, because it still stands. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Thank you very much, Imran. Your time is up. Okay, so we've heard about what their manifesto points are. So we're going to start with a question to Khalid. Considering that LTS has very limited space as it is, how and where would you envisage this new social space?
I think, obviously, it's not the largest campus that we have at the university, but I think, you know, there's a lot of demand for this, and I think there's two options that we might have. Next to the faith rooms, there's 2 rooms that are hardly used, so there could be a change there. Also, the canteen, we could change the canteen and make it into a social space. And I think a lot of students complain about the quality of the canteen and the way it looks, and it's not really appealing to many students.
So students aren't using the canteen, so you're saying get rid of it?
I'm not saying get rid of the canteen. I'm saying that we should, it's a big space, we could utilise, we could create a social space there and with the canteen next to it. And I think we should change the canteen as well, because I think the quality of the food is shocking, the service is shocking as well. And the colour scheme is terrible, in my honest opinion. And a lot of students
Take this point down to Imran. The colour scheme is terrible in the canteen. Is this a improvement that you would sort of tackle if you were to be elected representative?
I wouldn't consider colour schemes a manifesto point, really. One thing is, LTS doesn't have much space. I've stayed in that building for 3 years as a law student. Law students know that the issues are that we don't feel like we're part of the campus. That is the main issue. And if we're trying to say, oh, LTS, have your own social space, we're not improving that situation, because we're keeping LTS students there. And that's your building, this is our building. We need to make Regent's a real campus and get the 2 campuses working well together. And just
so it's less about having a social space at Little Titchfield Street and more about getting them along to Regent Street. Could we speak to Omar? What do you have to say about this need for a social space?
Well, I find it very quite funny, to be honest, the fact that we've all run for this position, but it's important to do our research beforehand. And it's quite clear, I've spoke to the faculty, of course, relevant to Titchfield, and the only place, and I mean the only place, to put a social area in Titchfield will be the faith rooms, and not 2, not 1, but the whole entire space. And this is for definite. This is not a doubt I have in my mind. I know 100% because I've done the relevant research for this. So that goes back to my manifesto point. The fact that the social area...
Sorry, just to make that clear, so the faith rooms in Little Titchfield Streets are going to be turned into social spaces?
Of course, if someone, like Khalid, priority is to put, like he mentioned in his manifesto, his priority out of all his manifesto points is to put a social area in Little Titchfield Street. So I can guarantee you, if you vote for Khalid, 100%, every single faith room in Little Titchfield Street will be gone.
So let's bring Lauren into this point. How do you see social spaces at the Regent and Little Titchfield Street campus?
Okay, so I think in Little Titchfield Street you can't lose the faith rooms, they're needed there. I agree more with Imran that you need to bring Little Titchfield students onto Regent Street. Regent Street doesn't have a massive kind of social area. We might have the old gym, but it's just couches. There's nothing for people to actually engage with in that room. If that was made into a natural social space with maybe pool tables or foosball tables or something like that, that would create a social space that would have something for people to do there, and it would bring students from Little Titchfield over as well and bring everyone together and make that sense of community.
And Khalid, this was your manifesto point. First of all, how would you
you said there, Omar, that if I get this position and I do push forward for that social space, you said that it will, you said you can guarantee that, you said guarantee, that's your words, that it will be converted, the faith rooms will be converted into the social space. And you said also, have I not done my research? Have you not spoken to the chaplain? If you did, that's part of your research. You haven't. The chaplain has said, I've spoken to him, that they're definitely not going to change the prayer rooms after they've done a survey and received hundreds of signatures from students, maybe even thousands. I see, maybe even thousands, but definitely hundreds. definitely hundreds of students that have filled it, and I can guarantee you that they will never change the prayer room. So you clearly haven't done your research there.
It seems though, once again, Carl has failed to understand the issue here. It seems though, but then again, it's not a surprise. But what we need to do is the fact that it's...
Okay, remember, no personal...
Tell us what the issue is then.
Okay, he wants to know the issue, let's tell him.
Okay,
So
go
basically, of course, like Moaz keenly shouted out, there's been thousands of signatures that have been to stop the faith room, of course, being changed. But, of course, I'm well aware of this. But if Carla's manifesto point is to go back on all the hard work we as students have put in the first place, which is to sign those signatures. I myself have signed it personally. But he wants to, of course, introduce a social area. And the only place, I repeat, the only place to put a social area in Little Titchfield is the faith rooms. So he will go back on all the hard work we as students have put in. And as I repeat Moaz's point, thousands of students have come forward to go against this point. And now we're going to go back upon this hard work.
Okay, so we're going to take a question from the audience now over here. If you could just wait for the microphone and introduce yourself when you get it.
Hello, I'm Mohammed, a final year LLB student. I think one thing that Khalid pointed out was how we could change the canteen area. And I could tell you all that previously we had a registry in the canteen area which hasn't been used for God knows how many years. So in my opinion, we could actually redesign the canteen area and have a social space there. In comparison to what Omar's advocating, that the prayer rooms would be removed, which I don't believe would actually take place. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to take this point straight over to Muaz, and if you could just comment on the
on this,
as well.
And can I ask something else after that?
We'll just start with the first question.
Okay, Omar, I am the current vice president. Your research development should have been with me first. I don't know what development or research you actually did, because I sit in a student forum, I sit in the States and Facilities meetings, and I sat with the Library Services meeting. And for a fact, if there is a student demand on a new social space, this will not intrude on the faith rooms whatsoever. I don't know where you got this from.
Okay. So we are going to take both Muaz's points and, sorry, I forgot your name, your point over here. If you could answer both, so the social space in response to the survey and in response to the redevelopment of the registry.
Firstly, to tackle Moaz's point, which I find very interesting, and he himself, it seems as though he's brought upon himself. I have chose not to, of course, mention anything, but he's asked me now the question, why, Omar, have you not come to me to ask me? I should be the first person to come to you. So I shall tell everyone why, and I'm glad it's going to be recorded then, because he himself chose to challenge me on this. So, of course, as you're well aware, Moaz was, like he put on his Facebook, suspended for a short period of time. And what was the reason? Of course, he never threatened me. He never did anything of the sort. He only advised me not to run. But I am well aware of Khalid's and Moaz's very strong relationship. And this is the reason. No, I need to get to this first because I myself didn't want to go to Moaz because the information I would get, I am confident, would not be something that I could use in this debate.
Let's move on to Lauren. How do you see student spaces at Little Titchfield Street?
I think in terms of Little Titchfield Street, you do obviously have the canteen area, but it's not the biggest area, really. You can't really incorporate a canteen and a real core social space in that really small area. So that's why I do think it's better to bring Little Titchfield onto Regent Street. I think that's really important. I think in terms of this question, it should have been that it has been researched properly through yourself, Moaz, but I personally haven't seen you, so I haven't felt that I've been able to ask that question. So.
On your point, if you were to, in your manifesto it says you would like to create monthly sports socials.
Yeah.
What would it be like? Who would be welcome?
So I want this to be open to everyone in the university to come to it, but it to be designed with the sports teams and the societies. So there'd be one member from every sports team, every society. We'd have a steering board to create the events, and they wouldn't just be like nights out like it is on Freshers. There'd be a range of events. So over the summer, we could maybe do like a big sports day where everyone could get involved. Daytime events that promote what societies are actually wanting to do, and take everyone's opinions on board, everybody's wants and things like that, and create them with the students in mind.
So it's a culture of consultation in finding out what students want.
Yeah, and then creating the events so that I know sometimes for people when they're starting to go to a society, it can be really scary to go on your own for the first meeting. If you'd maybe gone to an event beforehand where there was all different societies and you got talking to someone who was on the society that you want to go to, there'd be a face that when you went in, you recognised, you got to know, and it would just make everything, more sign-ups and everything like that.
Imran, how would you come back to this point about socials at the university? How do you get more students working together? You have a point about your united campus, the Regent and Little Titchfield community.
A massive issue in LTS, and a lot of students have said this, so the SU does massive nightclub socials, but students want other types of socials where maybe it doesn't consist of getting drunk that night. Maybe it's just chilling out with your friends and something more casual. One thing that I want to introduce is a heavier emphasis on celebrating the diversity in the university. We've got so many cultures in this one room and we don't celebrate it. Yesterday was Chinese New Year and there's only one society that celebrated it, and that was Anime Society, and the SU didn't do anything to promote it, which is really sad.
Okay, so Imran, you're saying we need to increase the celebration of diversity around the campus, and Imran, Khalid, you have this point on your manifesto as well. So a culture event, annual diversity and culture event in collaboration with other student unions. How do you see this working?
I think this can definitely work. I think we need to have better communication with other student unions. I think, we're in London. There's many universities within like a mile distance of us. We can, we want to engage with them. We want to get ideas from them, and I think we can have bigger events. Why not? We have many people here in this university with potential that have ideas, and they want to convey those ideas.
So do you think
not just restricted within the university, share it with others?
Would you be able to get students from other universities along to these events?
Of course. Well, that's what they're here for, to communicate, to network with other unis, other student unions, to engage. And I think many students are willing to do that.
Okay, Imran, how would you respond to that? Is something you'd like to open up to the wider population of students in London?
So it's one of my points that I want to bring back society and sports Wednesdays. So as some of you guys may remember that we used to have Wednesday evenings off, and other universities still do. So that's the only day that every university is free. We've stopped doing that, which means events inter universities aren't possible anymore. So that's the first things that I want to bring back, because we need to be communicating with other universities to make sure we're improving as well as they're improving as well. And only if that's possible are we as students able to explore this brilliant city that we're in. And we're right in the centre. We should be really using that, and we don't seem to.
Omar, could I just, what is your policies on social engagement within the university?
Well, one of my points, of course, was a university-wide announcement system, and
yeah, because I wondered about what this actually meant. Does it mean sort of loudspeakers on campus?
No. What would be was, for example, we all have been to the Little Titchfield Library on first floor, and they have an announcement system there, whereby the librarian can, of course, make one small announcement and all students hear it immediately. And this is what I hope to implement, not, of course, all around the university, then it will be quite annoying. But what would be like, for example, in social areas, for example, the old gymnasium, deep end, whereby not everyone's interested in reading the poster. I myself put a lot of posters, and not everyone wants to read it.
So it's a new way of finding...
Yeah, and drawing more students in so they can attend more events, and therefore increasing the number of participation.
Okay, let's see what's happening on Twitter. Zach, have you got a question?
We've got a question for Khalid, actually, that asks about your question on the social space in the cafeteria. Yeah. And the question is asking you, what about Wells Street? I mean, can't you implement some sort of social space over in Wells Street or something like that?
We could. That could be an option. I think Wall Street is, I had some of my English lessons there. It's usually quite empty. But the thing is, I think why a lot of students go towards Titchfield is because even students in Regent Street, they have to go to Titchfield for their books, because that's where the library is. So that's the main study area. So I think that, in terms of like when people are revising, I think it's quite annoying to have to go constantly to Wall Street to socialise. I think, students don't want to have to move. They want to have a space, in that campus itself, And I think, there's been many complaints on the first floor, the security, many students about the noise, the level of noise. So, yeah.
Okay, let's go back to Twitter.
And the next question is actually for Imran. If Wednesdays is off, what will you do about the higher number of late evening classes that will happen? And what about student safety?
So the weeks aren't used well enough currently. At the start when I came in, we were given an option for AM or PM preference. First years don't get that anymore. And that's something that I want to bring back because we've all got jobs, we've all got things that we can be doing, and we've all got work. And as I said before, you pay your say. We should have a say in when our lessons are and what works for us. And that's one of the reasons why I want to bring back Reading Week for a lot of Regent Street students. Because a lot of students have things to do, and especially if students have dissertations, we need to bring that back for those students because the university should be looking to help students instead of looking out to make a profit.
So I did actually want to pick you up on you're bringing back the Reading Week point. You're the only candidate to talk about this, as far as I've seen. And why do you think it's so important, seeing as we do already get really long summer breaks?
So if my other candidates had spoken to students at Regents, international relations, sociology, politics, many of them have either lost Reading Week or they've got tutorials and lectures in Reading Week, which means they don't get a proper Reading Week. It wasn't like that before. Students need those Reading Weeks because a lot of students feel pressured. Once you get into year 3, it's very intensive, and they need that Reading Week to make sure they do well in their academics, and that's ultimately why we're here. We need to make sure that we do well, and we need to make sure education works for us.
Okay, Omar, I'm going to go over to you. At the moment, it's already difficult to get students to fill out the NSS surveys and sort of module feedback survey forms that we get sent through the university. So your point to get a tailored student satisfaction survey. It's just another survey. I don't know. Do people like surveys? Do they? How do you feel about that?
Because
how will you get
all surveys right
in?
now, the universities have one survey, like you said, it has a few, and they all, quite frankly, are the same. And the point is that mine's based on a reliable improvement metric. And it's used across various industries, for example, like Apple. And these companies that use this is in the hundreds, and they go across the world. And I'm going to take the exact same format, and of course,
how
adapting
can you
it.
access this format?
Because it's a format that anyone can actually fill in the survey. So you just take in the...
But where do you get the format from?
It's all in the web. But the only ones that are interested in filling in, of course, are the companies themselves. I, as myself as a student, wouldn't be interested in actually filling this survey, but I have an interest in these sort of things. And the reason being is this NPS score, Net Promoter Score, and Apple has one of a plus 70, and statistically proven that any company or any sort of industry that participates in this survey is proven 100% to drastically improve in the upcoming years.
Okay, so you think that another survey will actually be better?
Because what do we get right now from the current surveys? Like I said in the radio debate last night, I got £5. But I don't want £5. I want a voice.
Can I just come in here?
Let's go over to Khaled.
Okay.
Could you come back on this point?
We don't, we emphasize a lot that you are the voice. As the voice, have you voiced the people? It's your campus, so start with them first. Little Titchfield Street. What are you going to do about social space? So a lot of students have voiced that. So what's your plan?
Simple. Had you read my manifesto point, you would have seen that there was a large concentration on social areas. But like everyone in this room would agree, we're trying to create a sense of community. So if I just focus primarily on Titchfield or focus primarily on Regent Street, I'm again departing them. So when I make a manifesto point, it is for both, of course. When I say a social area, it's going to be located, I'll tell you where located, in Regent Street.
Okay, but sorry, just last thing. Regent Street has huge social spaces. I'm telling you, it's too big even. So why would you add more social space?
Well,
right, let's take this
the gymnasium. The gymnasium is a huge social space. Plus the
Carly wants to take stuff away from you, apparently.
Okay, can I make a point, please?
It's the truth.
I'm sorry, make it smaller.
I'm sorry, even societies are not allowed to book anything in there.
Right, can I make a point, please? Right, can we go back to what the point was, which was about surveys and listening to student voice? Personally, I've spoke to a lot of students, and you did say if we'd spoke to students, we'd have known. Well, I have. And they're all saying, yes, you might send us emails, but we don't read them. So if it's just another online or email-based survey, they're not going to look at it. And from the way you're explaining it, it sounds really confusing. Would it not be better to have a face-to-face way of speaking to people? They react much better if you sit down and talk to them. I know that's a bit harder to get wide range of people, but is it not better to get really individual?
Should I answer this question?
Imran, let's. How would you would you go out and speak to students, or how
so
would
part
you
of my
find out what
manifesto
students
is
say?
that the SU should be actively spending hours outside of the offices.
Yeah.
The SU seems to be very complacent in the sense we sit in these glass boxes and don't do much, and students see, as someone said, it seems like a clique. And that isn't right. The SU is paid £1 million a year, as mentioned by someone else. And we should be going out speaking to students. And just to say, there was a similar survey set out by the SU this year called Just Say It. And there was active promotion, and it was across every campus, and only 300 students took part. And that gave them a voice, and clearly a survey doesn't give a student a voice.
So seeing as this is your main point on your manifesto,
Sure.
giving students a giving students a voice, what is your main point and your main...
Okay, once again, I'd like to... It seems though my fellow candidates love the word survey, because even underneath the heading, amplify student voice, it doesn't just say survey. There are other points on there. It says... Yes,
but you don't talk about talking to real students.
And what does it say? Can I, if I may be allowed to speak?
Yeah.
It says 1 point, tailored student satisfaction survey. But if we continue to read, it says 360-degree feedback. And if we continue to read again, it says university-wide announcement system. And if we don't get bored and we want to read again, it's going to say SU presence at all course rep meetings. So I don't understand why people concentrate on 1 point out of 5.
Okay,
It doesn't make sense.
To go over to Zach. We got a question from Twitter.
I want to open the question to the floor, but the first question on Twitter is for Lauren.
Yeah.
As an English student, would you raise English department student voices in Regent Street, many of which feel marginalised already?
Yeah, I feel like I'm currently on Wells for everything, so I don't feel like I'm a part of Regent Street. I'm only there because I actually make myself present there. So I think, yeah, it would be really important to kind of bring English back into Regent Street and not kind of segregate it to the side or anything like that. Yeah, definitely.
Just one question from the floor.
I know I have.
Can we make sure that we don't make this personal?
Of course, no, it's never been personal. Not from my side, anyway. Okay. So, just to
Can all
Omar.
sabbatical office refrain from making digs at candidates, please?
Okay, Omar, on your manifesto, you stated that you want to ensure welfare support is confidential and available to all students across Regents and LTS in a more private setting. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the Student Union have already invested £130,000 a year on 5 research, representation and welfare advisors, which have been doing exactly this for over a year now, and they've been doing a great job at it. So how is this a policy if it already exists?
I'm glad you brought it up, Miles.
So Muaz is saying that this already is happening. How would you respond to this?
Yeah, I'm very glad he's brought this up, because I actually had a conversation with the current President, Khalid Mamouni, about this point, the fact that the welfare, they've currently spent a lot of money, like he said, 130,000, but not 130,000 on location. My point is on location-wise. It's not upon introducing welfare officers. The £130,000 was spent exactly on introducing welfare officers, like you said, but my point is relocation of the current welfare officer from the current, of course, student union office located to where Upper Ground, where there's a vacant office located there, because certain students feel the Deep End is a very trafficked student area and they don't feel comfortable to discuss the issues there.
So you feel,
can I just come in here?
Feel
Sorry.
that they could be better placed. We're going to take another question from the floor.
Got a question over here.
If you could introduce yourself as well.
Hi, my name is Mahmouda. So this is for all candidates. Our current sabbatical officer for Regents has been known for not actively doing anything with his role. How do you all... How do you all intend on implementing a procedure for accountability? So for students to hold you accountable for the points that you've written down in your manifesto.
So let's start with Khalid. How do you think you should
Sorry,
maintain...
can you repeat yourself again?
So I'll summarise.
Okay.
How would you maintain, make sure you would maintain accountable for you and yourself in your role?
I think...
A clear procedure for accountability.
Look, in regards to the position, you're representing all the students, so you can't neglect that. And obviously your manifesto, why do we have a manifesto?
Let's talk about this more widely, if you were to take the role.
If I was to take the role, I would show that, of course, that I would, I would implement this, definitely, because it's important.
let's take this over to Lauren. Would you like to? How would you make sure that people knew you were doing your job?
So I'd want people to see me, to be a face that they recognise, to be someone that they spoke to, and if they felt like they weren't doing that, that they would happily go and say that I wasn't doing it. But I just want to be seen around campus and things like that, because currently we're not. Currently there's a lot of closed doors and things like that. And I feel like it just needs to be more transparent and the students actually seeing a face.
Take this now to Omar. How would you make sure that students knew you were doing your job?
Well, I find accountability, of course, a major point to make. And the fact that I've actually addressed this myself in my manifesto, but I haven't just made a statement. I said exactly how I would go about doing it. And one of my points was a publicised question time every term. So therefore, I won't just come to you every year and ask for your vote, which is ridiculous, I think. What I will do is every term I will come to you and stand in the deep end and make it an event where students can come and criticise me and potentially mock everything I have said so far or done.
And Imran?
The first thing that I'd introduce is what other SUs have is a student council. A student council of a student body that holds SABs accountable and questions them every time. And it's a clear proof that candidates haven't done their research, because we do have monthly and term meetings with SABs where they're held accountable with student forums. And yes, there is a failure where the SU doesn't get them involved enough, so that needs to improve. And on your previous point, you said there's an office up in the upper floor. If you would have gone to speak to the advice person in Regent, she has both offices. So if you want a private meeting, she's able to take it up there. And the advice team are doing an awesome job in supporting vulnerable students.
To bring you up on this point, what would an active students' union at Little Titchfield Street look like?
Spending active hours at LTS is a massive first step. So there needs to be a SAB consistently there, so hours at the campus. And the issue in Regents is that it feels that a lot of the campaigns are dedicated to just Regent students, and that isn't right. There needs to be dedicated campaigns to LTS and Regent students that unite both.
To make sure that all students work together?
Yep.
Let's take responses from Khalid. Would you like to? How would you make a more active, a more visible students' union in LTS?
I think that is a key issue. I think what needs to be done is we need to engage more with the students. I think we need to, publicise what's going on with the SU. I agree that the SU needs to be criticised as well. So I think, steps...
So opportunities to speak out about that. Omar, how would you see an active students' union at Little Titchfield Street?
Well, it's simple. I'm actually a second-year law student, and of course I have myself an attachment to Little Titchfield Street, and obviously I'm there all the time. So even though I'll be a VP at, of course, Regents and LTS, a lot of the time my love for the campus, my love for the people there, and of course even for the security guards, my love goes across all campuses. I will always be there. Security guards are very friendly. So anyway, I'd like to always, of course, always be there myself. It can be simple. It's very easy to give a presence in Little Titchfield. For example, you even put a little desk next to the current librarian and just set someone up there where they can just ask questions for even 1 hour a week or even 1 hour a day. It's very simple.
Would you like to come back to this point?
I think for Little Titchfield, we can hold more events on Little Titchfield. There are spaces on Little Titchfield. I mean, I understand there are issues with the library's placement and places like Portland Hall, but there are still lecture theatres where if there are speakers coming in, more use could be made of that to get a presence on Little Titchfield. Also, as a sabbatical officer, you're working core hours, so what says that you can't place an hour of your time every day in that campus, going around talking, interacting with students, obviously in the appropriate places, and that would give more of a presence, I think. So, yeah.
Okay. Now we have a question for all of the candidates here. So employability is a point that comes up time and time again in student union elections. So most of you have got it in your manifestos. Why are your policies better than any of the other candidates? So I think Omar, we'll start with you.
Okay, well, I think it's quite clear that a lot of my goals are very realistic. I've refrained from putting a lot of stuff in my manifesto in the first place for that prime reason. I didn't want to promise stuff I didn't know 100%. So everything you see in this manifesto, I'm not going to guarantee it's going to happen, but I can guarantee I can try. There are other things I thought of, for example, but I wasn't sure if the barrier would be stopped at the first instance. but I'm afraid in other people's manifestos, if I can bring it to the table, a lot of them are not either feasible.
So can you just say why your policies on employability are better or more likely to happen than any of the other candidates?
Okay, for example, then you mentioned employability. My focus is, of course, on what's already there, improving it, utilizing it. For example, the Career Development Centre has a large resource of opportunities, but right now it's not utilized to its full potential. So I hope to do this myself, unlike my candidate Imran, who wants to bring potential contacts in. It's about promising 100% things that can be guaranteed. I can easily bring contacts in from outside, but I wish to, of course, utilize the current opportunities that are already there.
Imran, so could you just come back to Omar on this point?
Yeah, so if Omar would have talked to the careers department, they're overrun currently. They're on their limit. It takes 2 weeks to get an appointment with them, and that isn't good enough. So what I want to do, I want to get employers to have relationships with students, in the sense that they work with students throughout the year, and when students leave, they feel like they've got someone out in the working world. And I've already done that as the VP of the Law Society, where we got future employees in talking to students, and students felt like they could actually go out and ask. So the difference for me, I've already done this, and I will continue to do it.
Okay, and let's take this over to Khaled.
I think my one, in terms of, at the moment, is only one careers fair. What I'm trying to do is focus on graduate schemes. Westminster University, you know, I think has a lot of potential. I think has some. I've met some very, very intelligent, promising students in this university. To be honest with you, and I think that we need to try and get more graduate schemes here. It's a shame that, you know, we're not a red brick university, but I think we have students here that are capable. And I think my one is going to focus on graduate schemes and liaisoning and communicating, bringing in large companies to offer that.
So yeah, Lauren, how?
So I want my careers fair ideas. I know we already have careers fair at Marylebone. I've had a lot of good response from students about that, but I feel like it needs to be more focused in regions. So I've spoken to a lot of students and they're maybe not sure what they want to do, or they know exactly what they want to do. If you know exactly what you want to do, then take that career and we can bring in companies or graduate schemes that are for that specific career, depending on how big the demand are, etc. And then also suggestions to students that maybe don't know or unsure, because obviously everyone came to university hopefully with the intention of getting a job at the end of it, so it's important.
Okay, so more specific and tailored to getting a job at the end. Let's take a question from the floor.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions. Start over here. Do you want to sit down?
Can we?
Hi, my name's Adil. My first question, I guess, is one point that was introduced was the languages over lunch, I believe. From what I've read, that already exists. So I didn't understand why something that already exists was being re-implemented.
So let's take this to Khaled. This is your point on your manifesto. A social yet academic initiative called Languages Over Lunch.
Where did you read this?
I can show you right here. It already exists. I have the paper here, and it's proof that this his manifesto point. He has to do anything. I could implement it right now. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's right here.
What does it say? Read it for me.
There you go.
Okay,
Second language agenda is actually an initiative by Khalid Mamouni, the president.
Can we stop there, please? Thank you.
Why have the students heard about it?
Let's have another question from the. Let's have the question from the top here. If you could just introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Riz. I'm a postgraduate student studying law. I really respect all students in all positions running for this elections, and credit to you guys. One thing I would say is that I find it very disrespectful and very, very offensive when so-called representees of students are running for their own agendas. And my specific point and comment is going to go towards Omar. Omar, at the start you had tape over your mouth. And I found that very offensive because you've got all over these shirts saying voice it, but yet you choose to voice your opinions and talk to us students about your manifesto points. And I found that very ironic. And we'll come back to my question, sorry. And my question is that you're very clear at voicing your opinion, attacking other sort of your fellow students. We're still students here. And very, very personal attacks, and you're quick to judge and attack, but yet voicing your own opinion, I find that you're going to be representing me. And to be honest, I find you very arrogant, and I feel that for you representing students lobbying, I do not believe that you will do a fair job, because I feel you're only going to voice your opinion when you choose to voice it.
Okay, so please.
Of course, I'm standing, obviously, of course, he mentioned that fact that I came on with a duct tape stuck to my mouth. Of course, the fact that I'm standing for such a strong statement, I have to come across quite powerful, try to do my best to give such a strong message. Strong messages come easy, a strong message makes mistakes along the way. And the reason you do this sometimes, these are my candidates, and of course I have love for every single one of them, but at the same time we're going for the same position. What we have to do is, we have to do our best way to represent the students, and the best way I feel that if I see a flaw in someone that may represent the students, and I think they may not be able to do it, of course I'm going to bring it to the table, and I will tell everyone about it.
We are going to now hand back to Zach. Is there a question from
No questions
Twitter? Can we have a question from the floor?
Any questions on the floor?
There's one at the... Or should we have the one at the front? You've already spoken. No?
I've spoken previously.
Can we get a question from the front? Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You can just introduce yourself as well.
Hi, my name is Rabia and I'm studying cognitive neuroscience and I'm in final year. My question is regarding social space. Now, all of you guys have talked about social space. For example, coming back to the word social space itself. What do you actually mean by a social space? Do you actually mean, like, if you look at it, social spaces already taken the student union offices, they are social space. So my question is probably to Omar, that, you know, you've talked about on your manifesto point that room booking service by lobbying it for social space. So my question is, we already have student union offices. So how would you tackle this kind of?
We'll open up this question
to everyone, pretty much. Yeah,
well.
yeah.
We'll start with Lauren. So social space is not just being the students' union offices.
I think there needs to be probably a larger space that students feel they can use. Obviously, you do have the student union office, and that's specifically for the student union. But maybe if a social space needs to be somewhere that isn't kind of part for doing work, part for doing a bit of chatting and things like that. I think they need to be two separate things so that students feel like they can be doing their revision and then come to a social space and have a break from that and do something different that gives them a chance to chill out, and so they're ready to go back into their revision.
Okay, Imran, would you like to pick up on this point? How can we ensure that there's social spaces, not just the student union offices?
So you spoke about room booking. So I've already spoken to the society's coordinator, and I'm working towards creating a streamlined system where it's very easy to book rooms, get external speakers in. And talking about external speakers, it's been confirmed by the SU that non-religious speakers won't have to be vetted anymore, so it won't take 3-4 weeks for that to come through. In addition to that, I want equal opportunities for societies. So no matter how big or small, every society should have the opportunity to take a big space or small space, whatever space they want to take. And in regards to having a specifically social space, if I could just answer the question. A social space, I completely agree. We're trying to improve our relationship with the states. That is essentially the major issue. We don't have a good relationship,
Omar,
and trying to improve that is the key.
Make your point here.
Okay, I'll try and make it as quick as possible. First point, obviously, is two. I think you said two: social space and one was society support. Yeah. Okay. Firstly, for social space, how I hope to go about it is firstly that obviously I spoke to the dean of Regent Street, and what in discussion right now, the fact is that all the psychology students have now currently been removed from Regent Street to Cavendish campus. So therefore, there's a lot of vacancy available in Regent Street right now in upper ground. So therefore, him himself and myself will be working alongside, of course, to try and make this whole area into another larger study area. And the reason I say study area is because then therefore to utilise the old gymnasium better to its full potential.
So
and
you're saying study areas rather than social spaces?
The reason being I say that is because it's very important to further utilise old gymnasium. We have to recognise the balcony that's there, and this is used by many students to study. So I need to give them a place to go, therefore to utilise the old gymnasium to its full potential.
Okay, Khaled, let's take this point back to you. Social spaces, how can we ensure that they're not just the students' union offices?
Are you trying to say that social space is just in the student union offices?
I was taking back the question of...
so social space is already student union offices, so what do you actually mean by student space?
What do you mean by a student social space?
A student social space is where students can go and chill out. They can go and chill out, relax. That's what a social space is.
Is this something that you plan
It's
to
important, but I've talked a lot about social space. I don't want to go more about that. Obviously, there is social space in Regents, in the deep end. You know, unless you want to change it, you want to do something different. we can ask students' opinions of how they want to go about managing the space that we have. We do have a lot of space in Regent, so how maybe we can change it if that's what they want.
Okay, so we are going to finish up there. If you do want to carry on the debate, please go to Twitter or Facebook using the hashtag UWSUVote. We are next going to speak to the presidential candidates. Thank you. Wow.